Hello. Today I'm going to tie for you what I'm calling the sexy tadpole. And I was introduced to this fly while fishing a freestone stream in northwestern Pennsylvania. And I'll try and tell more of that story while we're tying the fly. But it's simple, effective, and it sure worked for that guy. So small, thick-wired nymph hooks work best for this pattern. Basically, one of the only materials in this is going to be a slip of this remnants of turkey tail. You can see there we have about 5 fibers picked out. The tips change color. It's going to be ribbed with extra small copper wire. And I'm going to hold it all together with some old 3/0 Danville black thread. So here we have the hook and the vise. I'll start the thread. So I was up on this stream and I was fishing. It's loaded with caddis, and at the right times of year, you can use various caddis patterns, whether they're some kind of a merger, or if you want to do the peeping caddis or some of those. And I've had some double-digit fish days up there, but I was below a guy, and he was just going to town, fish on almost all day long, and finally we both quit about the same time. And I walked over, and I had to ask him, where are you catching all those fish on? So he handed me this little fly. It was a size 16, maybe an 18. Hooks vary a little bit, but it was nothing more than a thread fly. It had a tail, a thin abdomen, and a little bulb for a thorax. And of course, I traded him. I gave him a couple of my caddis patterns, and kind of felt cheated. I wrote about this in one of the books. Kind of felt cheated. He gave me this thread fly, and I had these really cool caddis emergers. But in any case, I brought it home and started to tie a few up, and sure enough, it works really well on that stream. And I don't know what it imitates, but some small mayfly maybe, but it worked really well. And then it was almost too easy, so I added a couple of things. The the copper ribbing and the way I do the thorax, I think, are kind of an enhancement. So kind of like what we do to a waltz worm. It works well simple in its simple form, but you just can't leave well enough alone. So here we are wrapping those turkey fibers or I don't want to use clockwise here because which way you're facing, right? But toward me, so kind of backwards, counter wrapping. And I'm left-handed, so that would confuse us all even more. But I wrap the softer fibers toward me when it makes sense. I did put a little bit of head cement there, little Sally Hansen's. And we're going to use those the butts. So we want to tie them down, work them to the top. If you didn't finish on top, you want to try and get them up on top. And work your way back. And I'm going to half hitch here, but you want to park your thread back to where you want to end the copper rib. So we'll pull that thread out of the way and use the rotary feature. And you can see in the tail, I have a little of each tone. If you grab the fibers that have a little more light brown or ginger on them, the back of the abdomen, especially on a larger fly, might be um, light ginger and then fade to black. So it's kind of a neat two-tone effect. Um, but I've been back with these flies and the tadpoles, and they're always I fish more than one fly, usually two, and they're always on my line, either top or bottom fly. So here we tied off the copper, but I'm not going to break it off yet. I'm going to use it for the thorax, and I'm going to use that. This is why we're using the 3/0 black thread too. We want to build up a little bulb here, and we'll take a couple of passes and get that built up. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull those. This actually enhances that bulbous shape of the thorax. Pull those fibers back and wrap over them, and then we're going to go forward, put another half hitch. I did crowd the eye a little bit here, but it's not a bad thing. This is such a small hook, it's kind of hard. You want to use as much available real estate as you can. And then here's another little enhancement. And I saw this, somebody else did. I didn't invent this, but um, if you rib the thorax with the copper kind of close together, In my mind, it's the same as a copper bead on the front of the fly. But it we didn't waste the bead. We're using the same, I don't know, two materials, three if you count the thread. And the effect is kind of cool. And this fly, other than the tail, is bulletproof. And I did contemplate using Coq de Leon for a tail because it's more durable, but um, I'll be honest, after a couple fish and with the tail chewed off, this fly still worked. So we pulled those 4 or 5 remaining turkey fiber butts back over for a thorax. I'm going to go ahead and whip finish. 5-turn whip finish. And I can cut the thread. And then I'm going to break those fibers off one or two at a time. So there we go. We've got them all. That little stub is actually off to the side of the eye of the hook, so it's not really going to get in the way. And that's the fly. I'm going to come back in with a little head cement, actually a little more than usual, and I'm going to let it run all the way around. And there they are. Those are my sexy tadpoles, and um, they work. This isn't one that you sit there and say that's certainly a fish puller, but in that situation, on that stream, and with or without the copper wire, these guys caught some fish. So I hope this helps you out. Put a couple in your box. Smaller might be better, depending on where you fish. And if you want to learn more about me, look me up on Amazon. And until next time, be safe.